It's a big episode of Dynamite with 5 titles on the line and a huge crowd on hand. It could definitely be called the biggest Dynamite episode of the year. It's Wednesday night and you know what that means. Excalibur was on commentary with Tony Schiavone and Taz. Chris Jericho made his entrance with the fans singing along to Judas as usual. They had a run from the entrance area to the ring. Raw commentator Ian Riccaboni was on hand for the match while the ring announcer was Rose Bobby Cruz. The Ring of Honor World Champion Claudio Castagnoli of the Blackpool Combat Club made his entrance alone. They showed Raw Hall of Famer Kerry Silken watching at ringside. Ring of Honor World Championship, Claudio Castagnoli vs. Chris Jericho. Claudio wanted a handshake for the Code of Honor. Jericho initially didn't want to do it and then Jericho shook the hand. Claudio was aggressive early with repeated uppercuts followed by a press slam where Claudio put Jericho across the top rope so Jericho was crouched on the rope. Claudio hit a running forearm on Jericho on the floor. Jericho hid behind Silken at ringside. Then Jericho punched Claudio and Jericho shoved Silken down with the fans booing. Jericho worked over Claudio with chops and then went back into the ring. Jericho jumped off the top with nothing as Claudio hit an uppercut. Jericho sent Claudio into the ropes leading to Jericho hitting a two-handed chop to the throat. Claudio was on the apron. Jericho jumped off the middle rope and Claudio knocked him down with another forearm. They battled on the apron with Jericho doing an eye rake. Jericho suplexed Claudio off the apron to the floor so they both took a hard bump to the floor. That led to a picture-in-picture commercial break. The match returned with Jericho running at Claudio, who got a boot up and knocked Jericho down. Claudio went to the top rope. Jericho came back with chops and when Jericho went for a Hurricane Rana, Claudio caught Jericho on the top rope. Claudio went for a powerbomb, but Jericho countered it with a Hurricane Rana for a 2 count. Jericho wanted a code breaker only for Claudio to counter it into an uppercut for 2. Claudio with a double stomp to the chest leading to a sharpshooter submission. After Jericho got out of it, Claudio hit a Ricola bomb leading to Jericho kicking him in the head to kick out at 2. Claudio with knees to the ribs. Then he went for a springboard move and Jericho hit the code breaker, double knees. For 2 cents that's not his finish anymore. Jericho tripped up Claudio for the walls of Jericho that looked more like a Boston Crab in this instance. Claudio powered out of that and stomped on Jericho's head a few times. Claudio did the giant swing with the fans going crazy for it as they counted along with it as Claudio did about 20 revolutions. Claudio sent Jericho into the corner, which wasn't a good bump, and then Claudio hit a lariat for 2. Jericho grabbed Floyd the Bat at ringside. Claudio blocked the bat attempt and put it down. The referee got the bat out of the ring. Claudio nearly hit the referee. Jericho hit a low blow kick and Jericho hit a Judas Effect elbow for the pinfall win after 15 minutes. Winner by pinfall and new Raw World Champion, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho celebrated the Raw World title win with the Jericho Appreciation Society group that was on the ramp. Daniel Garcia was a bit reluctant to join due to Jericho cheating, but Garcia was there to celebrate with the group. Jericho held up 8 fingers to signify his 8th world title. The U Tag Team champions Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland made their entrance with Swerve walking out with rapper Fabulous joining them. Swerve was booed by the crowd. The Acclaimed got a huge pop from the crowd as Max Caster did a rap trashing the opponents. They had DJ Woo Kid and Daddy Ass Billy Gunn. Anthony Bowens was fired up doing the catchphrases. The Acclaim has arrived. Scissor me, Daddy Ass. The fans popped huge for Bowens. Gunn doing the scissor thing. U Tag Team Championships. Swerve in Our Glory. Keith Lee Swerve Strickland vs. The Acclaimed. Max Caster Anthony Bowens, W/Billy Gunn. Bowens and Lee did a spot where Lee ran the ropes leading to a Hurricane Rana takedown leading to Bowens looking shocked with good reason. Caster tagged in going for an arm drag. Lee powered out of it and Caster managed to hit the arm drag on Lee. Swerve went into the ring illegally to hit both Acclaimed guys with a dropkick to stop them doing the scissor thing. There was a picture-in-picture break. The match returned with Caster hitting a powerslam on Swerve followed by a superkick on Lee, who was legal. Caster hit a suplex on Lee leading to huge cheers from the crowd. Bowens tagged in with clotheslines and a back body drop on illegal man Lee. Bowens super kicked Lee to knock him down. Swerve kicked Bowens followed by a kick to the head. The referee doesn't care about illegal wrestlers in the ring because it's you. Swerve got the tag. Bowens hit a Hurricane Rana on Lee and Swerve jumped off the top, but Bowens avoided it. Bowens got a roll-up for 2 and then he sent Swerve into the turnbuckle with a powerbomb. Lee knocked down Bowens with a headbutt followed by Lee tossing Bowens over the top onto the ramp. Lee hit Caster with a spinebuster leading to boos from the crowd. I'm pretty sure Bowens and Swerve were legal in the match, but neither guy was in the ring and the referee wasn't counting. Lee went for a moonsault off the middle rope. Caster moved and Lee hit the mat. Swerve tried hitting Caster with the boombox. Caster ducked and Swerve hit Lee by accident. Bowens with a blockbuster neckbreaker on Lee. Caster jumped off the top with an elbow drop I think, but he missed Lee and was grabbing his knee. That was weird. Bowens covered Lee for 2 even though Swerve was legal, but the inept referee Rick Knox doesn't really care about that. Caster and Swerve got tags leading to Caster hitting a belly-to-back suplex. Caster was favoring the injured left leg as he went up top. Swerve tried to move off the ropes. Then Swerve did a bounce and it looked brutal because it wasn't timed perfectly. Lee launched Caster in the air leading to Swerve hitting a powerbomb for a 2 count on Caster. Swerve took out both guys on the floor. Gun got in Swerve's face and the referee was looking at Lee for some reason even though he wasn't legal. Gun hit a famser on Swerve on the floor that the referee didn't see. Bowens hit the arrival slam and Caster jumped off the top with the mic drop for the pinfall win on Swerve. Lee was too slow to make the save. That match went 12 minutes. Winners by pinfall and new Tag Team Champions. The Acclaimed, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens. The Acclaimed celebrated with the titles and with Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn. They did the scissor thing to celebrate. The fans were happy. The FTR duo of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler were interviewed by Lexi Nair. Cash congratulated the new champions and wanted a tag team match saying they have been #1 contenders since April. It's been over 5 months. Gun Club's Colt and Austin Gunn interrupted and laughed at FTR for barely being on the show. They ended it with top guys out to mock FTR. MJF interrupts Wheeler Yuta. Tony Schiavone was on the stage to try to interview Wheeler Yuta, but Maxwell Jacob Friedman's music hit as MJF walked out wearing dress clothes along with the scarf. MJF said that the devil has arrived and the fans cheered him, so he called them devil worshippers. MJF ripped on Tony for being a fat, old prick. MJF ripped on Yuta for never getting a reaction like MJF just got, and MJF said that people in the arena would drink his spit or let him sleep with their wives, but MJF said he has standards. MJF said he's a generational talent. Yuta told MJF he's a generational talent. He's got more catchphrases than friends, and Yuta mentioned low-hanging fruit while talking about how MJF got engaged. Yuta said that MJF's fiancée Tilda Copyrighty is a wonderful young lady that's smart and maybe too smart because she might find out that MJF is a piece of worthless, human garbage. Yuta said she'll walk out on MJF like he walked out on the company. MJF said he was there to wish the Blackpool Cuckold Club in the main event. MJF said that Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley are fighting to lose the U World title to MJF. That led to MJF mocking Bryan Danielson for being injury-prone and get his brain scrambled. MJF mocked Jon Moxley as well, saying he's not all there. MJF said that you can go to William Regal to ask him how to pop pills. Yuta shoved MJF. Then MJF headbutted Yuta and MJF shoved Tony Schiavone down. When MJF turned around, Morrissey held on to Yuta and MJF punched Yuta with a dynamite diamond ring on his hand. Security ran out there, so MJF and Morrissey went to the back. Jade, Cargill and the Baddies were interviewed by Tony Schiavone earlier in the day. Diamante walked up to the interview saying that her friend is Trina, who was there. Jade Cargill said she'll them Friday on Rampage and Jade left. I yawned. U All Atlantic Championship, Pac vs. Ornage Cassidy. Ornage got a roll-up for 2 and an inside cradle for 2. Pac bailed to the floor to avoid the Orange punch. Ornage kicked Pac, then Pac hit a dropkick and Pac put his foot across Orange's throat. Tony Schiavone was back on commentary after what happened with MJF. Pac got a hold of Ornage and tossed him into the ring post. Pac hit a twisting dive over the top onto Ornage on the floor. Pac landed hard on his right hip, but he appeared to be fine. Pac went up top and hit a shotgun missile dropkick for 2. They went to a picture-in-picture break. Pac wanted to do a move off the top, but Ornage rolled out of the way, so Pac hit him with a German suplex. Pac went up top. Ornage put his feet up in the air with Taz calling it innovative for a comedy move, and then Ornage managed to get a pin attempt for 2. Ornage countered a Pac move leading to a stun dog millionaire. Ornage hit a suicide dive on the floor, backing the ring. Ornage jumped off the top with a diving DDT. Ornage hit a tornado DDT for a 2 count. Ornage went for the Orange Punch. Pac caught him and hit a suplex. Ornage countered a brutalizer attempt and Ornage turned it over to cover for a 2 count. Ornage hit the Orange Punch for 2 because Pac got his left hand on the bottom rope for a 2 count. They did a spot on the floor where Ornage left the ring with Pac. They went over to the table at ringside. Pac hit Ornage with a hammer that is used to ring the bell, that the referee didn't see. Pac put Ornage back into the ring and covered for the win. It went about 11 minutes. Winner by pinfall, Pac. The introductions took place for the interim AEW Women's title match with Britt Baker joined by Rebel. Serena Deeb was up next. Athena was next even though she lost a TBS title match recently. But he knew there are always more titles to contend for. Toni Storm was last as the interim Women's World Champion to a decent reaction. Interim AEW Women's Championship. Toni Storm vs. Serena Deeb vs. Dr. Britt Baker DMD, W/Rebel, vs. Athena. The first fall wins the match. Storm and Athena cleared the ring of the 2 opponents so that they could get some near falls on each other. Deeb tripped up both women, then flipped them over and sat on top for 2. Deeb applied a leg submission on Storm and an abdominal stretch on Athena. Taz put over the ref's sinew, which is almost comical, but that's what Ute commentary does. Baker got back into it with a forearm on Deeb and Baker hit a sling blade neckbreaker. Baker loves staring into the hard camera more than anybody knew, even during matches. Storm hit a running dropkick followed by a suplex. Storm went up top. Deeb went after here there and that led to the Tower of Doom spot out of the corner with a double superplex on Storm while Athena did the powerbomb part of it. That's a popular spot in these kinds of matches. Deeb and Storm were applying half-grab submissions on the 2 other women. Then Deeb, Storm slapped each other and that led to the submissions ending. Storm hit Deeb with a stiff German suplex followed by Storm hitting a hip attack on Athena. Baker hit a neckbreaker on Storm. Athena back up with a dropkick and Deeb clotheslined Athena. Deeb got a hold of Baker on the apron leading to a neckbreaker. Deeb wrenched Athena's leg against the rope. Deeb hit a swinging neckbreaker on Storm for a 2 count. Serena went for the Serenity Lock on Storm's left knee. Baker kicked Deeb to break that up. Athena picked up Baker. Storm jumped onto Athena and that led to Athena hitting a double slam, but Athena's back landed right on Baker's face. Ouch. That looked rough. Athena did an impressive slingshot off the ropes leading to double knees to the back for a 2 count because Deeb broke up the pin. Athena tossed Deeb out of the ring. Baker was bleeding from the nose. Storm with a DDT on Athena. Baker with a kick to Storm's shin and a pin attempt. Storm countered Baker into a crucifix pin for the win. The match got about 10 minutes. Winner by pinfall, Toni Storm. Britt Baker attacked Storm from behind with a forearm to the back. Baker was a bloody mess, so she stared right into the camera again. Jamie Hayter went down to the ring to grab Baker and then Hayter attacked Storm with Baker, so the fans booed that. Deeb also beat up Athena at the same time as Baker and Hayter were attacking Storm. Baker hit the stomp on Athena as well. While the heels were standing in the ring, some music played and it said Saraya on the screen. It's the former Paige from WWE, who made her entrance to a huge pop. The fans were cheering loudly for Saraya while the heels bailed to the floor and they were shocked to see her. Saraya told the ladies at ringside, "This is my house." That's her catchphrase as we know. The babyfaces Storm and Moon celebrated with Saraya in the ring. It was main event time with Jon Moxley making his entrance first wearing a Blackpool Combat Club sweater. Moxley entered by walking in through the crowd as usual. Bryan Danielson made his entrance wearing some red, black trunks and he was cheered just like Moxley was. William Regal was on commentary to support both Blackpool Combat Club members. Bryan's U record is 23-4-2 as Justin Roberts did the championship introductions. Jon Moxley's record is 58-5-1 with Mox looking very serious as usual. They showed MJF in a private box holding the poker chip to get him a new world title match for the vacant U World Championship. Jon Moxley vs. Bryan Danielson. They exchanged chops, and Bryan got a trip followed by forearms to the head and back. Moxley applied a key lock submission on Bryan's arm while MJF was shown watching the match. Moxley and Bryan exchanged chops again leading to Bryan getting in some kicks while against the turnbuckle as well. Bryan hit a running dropkick in the corner along with 3 hard slaps to the face. Bryan with chops. Then Mox was fired up and worked over Bryan with forearms in the corner. Bryan hit a running corner dropkick. Moxley with more stiff chops, then kicks to the chest and even more chops. Bryan with a running knee to the ribs, a kick to the back and more kicks to the back. Tony didn't like when they showed MJF watch the match. Bryan charged again. Moxley moved and Bryan hit the turnbuckle hard. Moxley stomped on Bryan's chest. Moxley with a body slam. Bryan sent Moxley into the turnbuckle, then Bryan unleashed with more hard chops to the chest. Moxley was seated on the top rope, so Bryan kicked him off the apron to the floor. Bryan hit a diving knee strike off the apron onto Moxley on the floor. Back in the ring, Bryan hit a shotgun missile dropkick. Moxley was on the apron. He choked Bryan and pulled him over the top to the apron. Bryan hit a German suplex on the apron with Moxley going to the floor. That led to a picture-in-picture break. Moxley was in control of Bryan with an ankle lock submission because Bryan hurt his knee. Moxley captured the leg and gave Bryan a suplex across the ring. After Bryan got back up, Moxley hit a running clothesline in the corner. Moxley did some back scratching after setting up Bryan on the turnbuckle. Moxley with some headbutts, really just hitting his own hand, and Moxley wanted a superplex, but Bryan slipped out of it leading to Bryan crotching Moxley onto the top rope. Bryan gave Moxley a belly-to-back superplex off the top while MJF was shown smiling, clapping as he watched. Bryan got a pin attempt, but Moxley came back with his own version of the label lock. They did a spot where they hooked their legs up, then they were upside down and the fans were cheering it. I like both guys, but it looked ridiculous to me. Bryan wanted the cattle mutilation submission. Moxley got out of it and Bryan delivered elbow smashes onto the shoulder. Moxley got back up. Bryan with a hard kick to the head, but Moxley managed to come back with a King Kong lariat while MJF was shown laughing at them. Bryan with a back body drop to counter a move. Bryan was in the corner and hit a Buzaiko knee for only a broken bar and number. Good near fall there. It's a move Bryan has won with many times before. Moxley kicked Bryan's left ankle. Then he did the stomp like one of his former Shield buddies and Moxley hit the Death Rider suplex. Slam for only a broken bar and no, just a 2 count. Regal talked about how he would kick the Achilles ankle like Moxley did too. Bryan captured the wrists leading to repeated stops to the jaw. It looked like Bryan wanted a submission, but Moxley kicked him in the head repeatedly. This director kept shooting wide-angle shots instead of showing the damn match. Anyway, Bryan finally was able to capture Moxley in the label lock while hooking on the left arm. But Moxley turned and got his right foot on the bottom rope. Bryan went up top. Moxley was on the ramp and Bryan hit a knee drop on the arm. Moxley hit the Death Rider on the stage. Bryan's momentum put him back into the ring and Moxley covered for just 2. What a great near fall there. Moxley applied the sleeper hold, but Bryan broke the grip and countered off the turnbuckle. Moxley managed to apply the bully choke submission with Moxley completely on Bryan's back and Bryan was out, so Moxley won. It went about 18 minutes. Winner by submission and New Year World Champion, Jon Moxley. After the match, MJF was shown smirking towards the ring. William Regal went into the ring to raise Moxley's hand. Moxley is now a 3-time Year World Champion. Danielson took the title from Regal and pointed at him with Danielson wanting to put the title on Moxley himself. They ended the show right there.